Hey guys, welcome to today's video, and today it's going to be a part 2 to what if Bardock had fled planet Vegeta. So when we last left off, Bardock had found Raditz, Vegeta and Nappa and had been training with them. He'd reached a power level of 35,000 before Doria had been sent to find him. This was 2 years or so, maybe a bit longer, after planet Vegeta had been destroyed. And Bardock had glimpses of going Super Saiyan. A battle with Doria occurred, and when a big blast from Doria wounds Raditz, that's when Bardock turned Super Saiyan and destroyed Doria. So all the Scouters had been destroyed or turned off, and the Saiyans can sense power levels. So let's continue. So after a couple of days of Doria and his men not checking in with Frieza becomes suspicious and sends Zarbon out with a troop to find Doria, sending him to the last location where his scouter was picked up. So Bardock gets wise to what's going on. He knows that Frieza will send Zarbon. So knowing that he can defeat him now, they just continue the training. He asks Nappa to nurse Raditz back to health, so basically just take care of him while him and Vegeta train. It only takes a few days for Raditz to get back to full health because it wasn't a serious injury, and now he joins them as well. So Vegeta's getting annoyed, saying, "Teach me how to become a Super Saiyan," and that causes Bardock to think, how did he even achieve the form? He starts to think, well, I first got a glimpse of it when I saw planet Vegeta being blown up, and then I actually did achieve it when Raditz got hurt. And then he realises that it was fueled by anger, hurt and loss. So that's what he tells the three Saiyans. They need to focus on their anger, use it as a fuel for their power. So this is what they do. As they're training, they're trying to tap into their inner power, their anger, that pure emotion that drives the Saiyans on. But because they're so weak at the moment, they can't achieve it. They're not strong enough. So after a couple of weeks, Zarbon lands with his men, and Vegeta and Nappa go out first. They're keeping Bardock hidden, as if it was actually them that defeated Doria. When Zarbon charges, he sends his men out first to attack, not knowing how strong these two have actually become. After over a year training with Bardock, their power levels will have skyrocketed. Nappa, who had a power level of 5,000, he will have reached about 7 or 8. And Vegeta, he was pushing himself to his limits, as we know Vegeta does when he trains. And training with Bardock with the potential of becoming a Super Saiyan, he will have put his body through some intense amounts of training and achieved the power level of 15,000. Yeah, it's not as strong as what he is originally, but you've got to remember, he is still a kid at this point of the story. So they both just wipe out the entire of Zarbon's army with ease. And when Zarbon attacks Vegeta, knowing that he's nowhere near strong enough, Bardock just appears and stops Zarbon. He just goes, "You? But I thought you were dead. Was it you that killed Doria?" And Bardock just smirks and throws Zarbon into a mountain. He then realises that he's not strong enough to beat Bardock as he is. So he transforms. So Zarbon's power level now, probably about 40,000, maybe a bit more. Charges at Bardock, who at this point he's holding his own in his base form, but Zarbon is getting the better of him. This is when he's given no choice but to transform into a Super Saiyan. As he does, he realises that Zarbon's scouter must still be transmitting, so before anyone can say a word, he blasts it. And then he goes ape on Zarbon. He destroys him, and just as he's about to deal the finishing blow, he says, "Zarbon, Frieza will suffer the same fate as you. I will personally see to that." And then just blasts Zarbon to oblivion. So Frieza did hear what happened before Zarbon's death, and when his scouter suddenly cut out, he realised that Zarbon is dead. Saying, "You? How are you still alive?" Frieza is trying to think who that could be. Who's that strong that would scare Zarbon? So he sends out the Ginyu Force. And this is when Bardock thinks Frieza will go to his last plan now. It's a last resort for him. And a final chance to test out the Super Saiyan form. So the Ginyu Force are on some faraway planet. So let's say it'll take about 6 months to get there. Well, this gives a lot of time to intensify their training. Bardock knows that they need to get really serious if the others are to survive against the Ginyus. Through 6 months, the 3 other Saiyans, there's no chance that they can get as strong as Bardock. There's no chance that they can become Super Saiyans. But again, their power levels are skyrocketing. Vegeta ends up at 25,000 before the Ginyu show up. Nappa about 12 and Raditz 10. So when the Ginyus show up, all 4 of the fighters face off against the Ginyu Force. And like when the Ginyus arrived, they fight them one at a time. Guldo starts and he fights Vegeta first. And Vegeta, he might not be as strong as what he wants to be, but he can still take care of Guldo. Next is, let's say it's Chase. And he's the next weakest of the Ginyus, I'd say. So he's holding against Vegeta. It's an even fight. But this is when Nappa quickly sneak attacks him and Vegeta finishes him off. The Saiyans are in no mood to just fight fair. Especially these two, they won't be bothered about what's fair. So that's when Raccoon steps up to face the two, and he starts to beat them mercilessly, both of them together. And as he's about to deal a finishing blow, that's when Bardock jumps in again to save them. He blasts Raccoon into nothing. And that's when Berta and Ginyu are like, what just happened? Bertha steps up, and again, Bardock just destroys him. So, in this 6 months, Bardock's power level would have skyrocketed again to about 50,000 as his body gets used to the power of Super Saiyan and he's understanding more about himself. So now he's up against Ginyu. In his base form, Bardock stands no chance. And he knows this. So he straight away transforms into a Super Saiyan and says to him, "This is how I beat Zarbon." You hear that, Frieza? I know you're listening through a scouter. I've become a Super Saiyan, the legend that you fear, and I'm coming for you. Once Ginyu's out of the way, you're next. And the fight begins, and Bardock just takes Ginyu apart. He doesn't even give him a chance to switch bodies. Ginyu doesn't even think about it, he's getting that badly beaten. And Bardock is done playing with him and just blasts him. So now that the Ginyus are defeated, Bardock still thinks that he can't beat Frieza. He thinks Ginyu will be a lot weaker than Frieza, and he had to go Super Saiyan just to beat him. So he decides that they need more time to train. So they leave the planet. And so it's been about 4 years since the destruction of planet Vegeta. Meaning that Goku is only about 5 or 6. So he hasn't even met Bulma yet, so he's just irrelevant to the story at this point. But the remaining Saiyans go from planet to planet, training, getting stronger for the next 5-6 years. And because each planet is not at the same intensity gravity wise, they don't always get as strong as what they should from training on these planets. But after about 6 years, Bardock has got to a power level of 75 to 80,000, Vegeta to about 40, Nappa 20, and Raditz 20. Yes, I know Raditz caused that gap, but Bardock had been more focused on training Raditz rather than Nappa, and because Nappa's older, it'll be more difficult for him to get stronger as quick. So Vegeta and Bardock are sat down talking one night, and Vegeta says, "It'd be better if we had a little army. Just the 4 of us against Frieza. I still don't like those odds, even with you as a Super Saiyan. We need to get more forces." And this is when Bardock says that his son Kakarot is still alive. He's on a planet called Earth. Vegeta straight away says, "Another Saiyan? Your son? Let's get him." Bardock says, "I don't think it's time. I had a vision of the 2 of you facing off as adults. So maybe Kakarot gets a lot stronger where he is now. I also had a vision of him facing off against Frieza. And Vegeta, Kakarot is the one that will finish Frieza, not me." Alright guys, so that's where I'm going to leave it for now. I kind of like where this story's going, and I've got so many ideas for this, getting really into it, and I hope you guys are too. So if you've got any ideas for what can happen next, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed it, please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.
summer.